Let me close the door for a moment. What I am about to tell you is not something you are going to hear in a standard 15-minute appointment. It is not on the pamphlet they hand you at the front desk. And honestly, it is not something most physicians take the time to sit down and explain, because explaining it properly takes more than a rushed consultation allows. But you deserve to hear the full truth. You deserve to understand exactly what is happening inside your body every single time you walk across a room, step off a curb, or reach for something on a lower shelf and feel that terrifying wobble in your knee. My name is not important right now. What matters is that I have spent more than 20 years inside orthopedic surgery, and I have seen thousands of patients, most of them over 60, walking through my door convinced that their knee is the enemy. They come in gripping their x-rays. They show me braces that cost them $200. They tell me about the knee sleeves they ordered online, the anti-inflammatory creams they rub on every night before bed, and the morning walks they never miss. They are doing everything they believe is right. And I have to look them in the eye and tell them the uncomfortable truth. Their knee is not the problem. And that truth, that single sentence, is the starting point of everything I want to share with you today. Because if you are over 60 and you are experiencing knee pain, knee buckling, or a deep fear of falling, the answer to your real problem is almost certainly not living inside your knee at all. It is living inside your hip. Specifically, it is living inside one critically underused muscle that most doctors never mention. Understanding this connection between hip strength after 60 and the kind of knee pain relief you have been chasing for years is the foundation of genuine fall prevention. And today, we are going to rebuild that foundation together. So please, stay with me, because the next several minutes might be the most important thing you watch this year. Here is what happens when you take a single step. Most people imagine walking as a simple rhythmic activity. Left foot, right foot, repeat. Easy. But inside your body, walking is a feat of extraordinary engineering. And the most dangerous moment in the entire cycle of walking is not when both feet are on the ground. It is the fraction of a second when only one foot is on the ground. Think about that. Every single step you take, your entire body weight, everything you are, shifts onto one leg for a brief but very real moment. In that moment, gravity is trying to drag your pelvis sideways and downward. Your body is essentially tipping, like a table with one leg missing. And there is only one muscle whose entire job is to prevent that collapse from happening. That muscle is called the gluteus medius. It sits on the outer surface of your hip, wrapping around the side of your pelvis like a natural brace. When it fires correctly, it contracts with tremendous force the instant your foot hits the ground, and it holds your pelvis perfectly level so the rest of your body can continue moving forward in a straight, controlled line. It is the invisible scaffolding behind every step you take. Now, here is where things start to go wrong for so many people over 60. Because of the way modern life is structured, most of us spend enormous amounts of time sitting. We sit in comfortable chairs, we walk on flat, straight pavements, we go from the car to the house to the couch and back again. We almost never move our legs sideways. We almost never challenge the body to stabilize laterally. And your brain, which is an extraordinarily efficient energy management system, notices this pattern. Your brain runs a constant metabolic audit of your body. It is always asking the same question: which tissues are being used and which ones are not? Because maintaining muscle tissue is expensive. It requires calories, protein, and cellular resources. And if your brain decides that a particular muscle is no longer earning its keep, it begins a process of quiet, systematic dismantling. This process has a name. It is called sarcopenia, and it is one of the most misunderstood and underestimated forces acting on the human body after 60. Sarcopenia does not attack all muscle fibers equally. It targets a very specific type, the fast twitch fibers. These are the fibers responsible for rapid, powerful, reactive movement. The kind of movement you need when you suddenly slip on a wet floor or catch your foot on the edge of a rug. the kind of movement that catches you before you fall. And because the gluteus medius is rarely challenged in most older adults, sarcopenia devours it, quietly, without pain, without warning, until one day you step off a curb and your knee suddenly buckles sideways and you grab the nearest wall with your heart pounding in your chest. In the medical literature, that buckling motion of the knee is called dynamic knee valgus. It is the inward collapse of the knee joint under load, and it is one of the most common causes of knee pain, cartilage damage, and falls in adults over 60. But here is what the X-ray does not show you. The X-ray shows you the knee. It does not show you the chain of events that led to that moment. It does not show you the weakened gluteus medius that failed to hold the pelvis level, which caused the thigh bone to rotate inward, which drove a twisting, grinding force directly into the knee joint with every single step. We call this the Trendelenburg gait. You can recognize it by watching someone walk and noticing that one side of their pelvis drops slightly with each step, giving them a subtle but unmistakable rocking motion. Most people who have it do not know they have it. Their knees know, though. Their knees have been absorbing the consequences of it for years. Your knee is not failing. Your knee is being failed. There is a profound difference. Before we talk about rebuilding that muscle at a cellular level, I need to address a silent symptom that is probably happening to you right now. It is something my patients rarely admit to me until I point it out in the examination room. When your gluteus medius begins to fail, your brain instantly senses that your lateral stability is gone. Your brain knows that your emergency brakes are worn out, even if you do not consciously realize it yet. So, what does your central nervous system do? It fundamentally alters the way you navigate the world to protect you. You stop picking your feet up as high. Your stride becomes shorter and wider. You stop rolling through your foot naturally from your heel to your toe. Instead, you start doing what orthopedic specialists call the senior shuffle. You keep your feet closer to the ground because your primitive brain believes that staying closer to the floor is safer. You start looking down at your feet constantly instead of looking straight ahead. You hesitate at curbs. You instinctively reach for the walls, the door frames, or the edges of furniture when you walk down a hallway in your own home. Your physical world begins to shrink. Here is the tragic clinical irony of that shuffle. By keeping your feet closer to the ground and shortening your stride to feel safer, you actually dramatically increase your risk of tripping over the absolute smallest obstacle. A slightly raised edge of a living room carpet, a small crack in the sidewalk, or a power cord on the floor suddenly becomes a life-threatening hazard. Because you are shuffling, your toe catches on the floor, and because your fast twitch fibers are dormant, your gluteus medius cannot fire fast enough to step out laterally and recover your balance. You do not fix this shuffle by simply telling yourself to walk better or stand taller. You fix it by restoring the lateral strength that gives your nervous system the physical confidence to pick your feet up again. Now, once we understand the structural problem, the next question is obvious. How do we rebuild the gluteus medius? How do we restore that critical stability? The answer begins at the cellular level. And to understand it, I need to tell you about a molecule called adenosine triphosphate. You might know it by its abbreviation, ATP. ATP is the fundamental energy currency of every living cell in your body. When your muscle fiber receives a signal from your nervous system telling it to contract, it reaches for ATP to power that contraction. When you push a muscle hard enough to cause microscopic damage, the repair process that follows, the process that makes that muscle stronger, also runs on ATP. And here is what the research from the National Institute on Aging has consistently shown. Resistance exercise does not just tire your muscles. It sends signals directly into your DNA, chemical signals that instruct your genetic machinery to demand more protein, to synthesize stronger, denser muscle fibers. Exercise is, in a very literal biological sense, a conversation with your own DNA. And when you begin these exercises today, you are starting that conversation. But a conversation requires two participants. Your DNA can send the signal, it can make the demand, but if your body does not have the raw materials to answer that demand, the fibers do not get rebuilt. The fast twitch muscle stays depleted, the gluteus medius stays weak, and the Trendelenburg gait continues with every step you take. This is where I need to speak to you about something that most orthopedic appointments never get around to addressing, and I want to do it with the respect and honesty that you deserve. I hear it in my clinic, stated in different ways by different people, but always carrying the same quiet weight underneath the words. You tell me that the foods you loved your whole life do not taste the way they used to. The appetite you once had has simply diminished. You mention that cooking a full meal for one person feels like too much effort for too little reward, so you eat something small, or sometimes nothing at all. Some of you tell me, with a kind of reluctant courage, that you have started avoiding the grocery store. Not because you are lazy, but because you are afraid. Afraid of the hard floors, afraid of the long aisles, afraid of falling in public in front of strangers with no one to help you. I want you to understand something clearly. These are not character flaws. These are not signs of weakness. These are the very real and very human consequences of living with the fear that your body might betray you. And they are creating a nutritional crisis inside your muscles that is making that fear a self-fulfilling reality. When you chronically undereat, when you skip meals, or eat only small amounts of easily accessible but protein-poor food, your body does not have the raw materials it needs to maintain muscle tissue. Sarcopenia accelerates. The gluteus medius weakens further, the falls become more likely, and the fear grows. We have to interrupt this cycle. And we have to do it in a way that is realistic for your life, exactly as it is right now, not some idealized version of it. There are two specific nutritional tools I want you to know about, not supplements in the vague, marketing-driven sense of the word. Actual research-supported compounds that address the precise biological problems we have been discussing. The first is creatine monohydrate, 3 to 5 grams per day, dissolved into any beverage you enjoy. Creatine is not a bodybuilding product. It is a molecule your body already produces and uses to rapidly regenerate ATP inside your muscle cells. As we age, our natural creatine stores decline, and our ability to rapidly produce the energy needed for fast reactive muscle contractions diminishes with them. Supplementing with creatine monohydrate has been studied extensively in older adults, and the evidence is consistent. It improves explosive muscle power, it supports the fast twitch fibers that sarcopenia targets first, and it gives the gluteus medius the cellular energy it needs to catch you in that fraction of a second before a fall becomes a reality. 3 to 5 grams, no cooking required. Stir it in and drink it. The second is wild-caught canned sardines. I know most people walk right past them in the grocery store, but they are an absolute biological goldmine for the aging body. Sardines are packed with complete protein and are particularly rich in leucine, the exact amino acid that acts as the primary trigger for muscle protein synthesis. When leucine is present in sufficient quantity, it essentially unlocks the door that allows your DNA to begin rebuilding those damaged muscle fibers in your hip. Beyond the protein, sardines are one of the only natural foods loaded with vitamin D and heavy concentrations of EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids. Research consistently links these specific fats to rapidly reduced inflammatory activity in joint tissue. Calmer joints mean your nerve signals are no longer corrupted by inflammation. Cleaner signals mean your gluteus medius responds faster and more reliably to catch you before you fall. 3 tins a week, no stove, no complicated recipes, just open them up and eat them. They are the most effective clinical food for muscle repair you can buy without a prescription. These two things together address the nutritional side of what we are trying to accomplish. Now let us address the movement side. I am going to give you 5 specific exercises right now. These are clinical movements used in the rehabilitation of hip osteoarthritis and in the restoration of lateral hip stability. Before you begin, find a quiet, safe space and walk gently around the room for 3 minutes to bring circulation into your joints. If you feel a deep muscular aching during these movements, That sensation is not damage. That sensation is recruitment. That is the feeling of a sleeping muscle being woken up. It is the feeling of progress. The first movement is the static gluteal hold. Lie flat on your back on a firm but comfortable surface. Extend both legs straight out in front of you. Now, squeeze your buttock muscles together as firmly as you possibly can, as though you are trying to hold a folded towel between them. Hold that contraction for 10 full seconds. Feel the warmth build in the tissue, then slowly, intentionally release. Rest for a moment. Repeat this 10 times. This movement does something deceptively important. It reestablishes the neurological pathway between your brain and your gluteus medius without placing any load whatsoever on your knee joint. You are essentially calling the muscle back to attention. You are reminding your nervous system that this muscle exists and that it has a job to do. The second movement is the pelvic bridge. Remain on your back, but now bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor, roughly hip-width apart. Squeeze your buttocks again, and then slowly press your hips upward toward the ceiling until your body forms a diagonal line from your shoulders to your knees. Do not force your lower back into an arch. The power should be coming from your posterior chain, from the back of your hips and thighs. Hold the top position for 1 breath. Then lower yourself back down with complete control. Repeat 10 times. This builds the foundational load-bearing strength that will support every standing movement you do throughout the day. The third movement is the clam. Roll onto your side. Bend both knees so that your hips are at roughly a 45-degree angle and your feet are stacked on top of each other. Engage your buttocks. Now, keeping your feet pressed together as though they are glued, slowly lift your top knee toward the ceiling as far as the range of motion in your hip comfortably allows. Resist the temptation to roll your pelvis backward to gain extra height. The quality of the rotation matters far more than the height. Lower the knee back down slowly. Complete 10 repetitions on this side, then carefully roll over and repeat 10 repetitions on the other side. The clam directly targets the external rotators of the hip, the muscles responsible for preventing your thigh bone from collapsing inward with every step you take. The fourth movement is the side-lying hip abduction. Remain on your side. This time, keep your bottom knee slightly bent for balance, but fully straighten your top leg. Flex the foot of that top leg so your toes are pointing forward rather than downward. Now lift the entire top leg straight toward the ceiling, leading with the heel. The leg should travel in a perfectly straight line, not swinging forward or drifting backward. Lower it back down with slow, deliberate control. 10 repetitions per side. This movement isolates the gluteus medius more directly than almost any other exercise in a clinical rehabilitation protocol. You should feel a firm, sustained, burning sensation along the outer surface of your hip and into the upper portion of your buttock. That sensation is exactly where it should be. The fifth movement is the active hip abduction in standing. Come carefully to a standing position. Place one hand on the back of a sturdy chair or on a counter that is firmly fixed to the wall. Stand tall. Do not allow your torso to lean to the side in order to lift the leg higher. That lean is a compensation, and it removes the challenge from the gluteus medius entirely. From a tall, controlled standing position, lift one leg straight out to the side, initiating the movement from the hip and not from the waist. Hold briefly at the top. Lower slowly. 10 repetitions per side. This is the movement that trains your gluteus medius to do its actual job, which is to stabilize your pelvis while you are on your feet in the real world. This is the movement that begins to erase the Trendelenburg gait. This is the movement that starts to protect your knee from the inside out. I want you to understand something before we finish. Your knees have been absorbing punishment that was never meant for them. They have been compensating, straining, grinding, and aching, not because they are broken, but because they have been doing a job that your hip muscles abandoned. The x-rays are real. The pain is real. But the source of the problem has been upstream the entire time, and now you know where to look. The 5 movements we covered today are not a temporary fix. They are the beginning of a process of reclaiming the strength that was always there. Paired with 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate daily and wild-caught canned sardines 3 times a week, you are giving your body both the stimulus and the fuel it needs to actually change. This is clinical work. This is what real fall prevention looks like. Not a grab bar in the bathroom and a hope that nothing happens. It is an active, daily investment in the stability of your own body. Go through these 5 movements today. Then come down to the comments section and leave me one word. If you completed the exercises and your hips felt capable, responsive, and strong, type the word solid. If your muscles shook, burned, and struggled to lift even the weight of your own leg, type the word working. Both of those words mean the same thing. They mean you have decided to stop accepting decline as inevitable. They mean you showed up for yourself today. Subscribe to Liberty Aging, because what I just shared with you today is only the beginning of what you deserve to know. I will see you in the next one.